Does this describe you?
Ah! This game is all luck! Eat a brick!
Well, then you should try a board game called Diplomacy. It's an amazing up to 7-player game in which you have to take over all of Europe. There's literally no luck involved. It's all strategy and skill. It's actually so great that God probably sent this down as a replacement for Jesus when he died. Okay, so let me explain this to you guys. At the beginning, everyone picks a country to start out. Of England, France, Italy, Germany, the Ottoman Empire, Austria-Hungary, and Russia. On each of the dots, or supply centers in your country, you get an army or fleet. England, for example, gets a fleet in Edinburgh, a fleet in London, and an army in Wales? I don't remember. Each of these pieces can move to one region per turn. Regions are defined by these black lines here. Obviously, fleets move through the water only and armies on land only. For every supply center you hold at the end of fall, I'll explain in a minute, chill, hold your horses, you get an army or fleet. Turns work very differently in this game compared to most. You label each turn starting with fall 1901, and then spring 1901, counting up the years after the 2 seasons.
Yes, I know that technically time is going in reverse, because fall is followed by spring in the same year, but we... Diplomacy years.
Just brush that under the rug. During the planning phase, everyone writes down their moves on a sheet of paper, and everyone reveals them at the same time. This is the most important part of the game because you cannot change your move once it's out, and you can't react to other people's moves, meaning you can easily back someone or do some 2 billion IQ plays. So this is how a turn would go. Okay, everyone, write your moves. Okay, everyone's ready. Let's go. France moves their army from Holland to Kiel. Dude, what the fuck? I trusted you! Ah! Yeah, so things can get pretty heated, but this is how moves are written. Army, arrow, Holland to Kiel. First, you write the corresponding letter for the type of piece. A is for army and F is for fleet. Then an arrow. You identify which army it is by listing the starting location first. Then you put the action you want it to complete. 2 is for moving things, and supports is for supporting other pieces. Lastly is the object of the move. This is which region the piece is supporting or moving to. The way things battle in this game is interesting because you can't just win in a 1v1. For example, if this army moves into here, then nothing will happen, and the invading army bounces back to its starting location. But say that you had an army here, bordering the region where this first one is attacking. Here on your paper you would write, Army in Galicia supports Budapest. On top of your Army in Romania moves to Budapest. This would create a 2-to-1 ratio of armies, and the army in Budapest would bounce to a bordering region. This region is chosen in a descending order, meaning they would first move to a region that they occupy. If there are none bordering, then they move into unoccupied. Last, they'd move into an enemy territory. If there is no region that meets any of these criteria, then the army gets removed from the board. Keep in mind that 2 pieces cannot occupy the same region, even one to the same country. In the event of a tie in army count, the one who moved into the region bounces back to where it started. Fleets can support armies, but armies cannot support fleets. Also, if an army or fleet that is supporting another is attacked, it is no longer supporting that piece. This is because pieces cannot support and fight at the same time. They also cannot move and support at the same time, meaning that an army or fleet has to be in its region for at least 1 turn to be able to provide support to another. I mentioned before that supply centers are important. They are the way you get more pieces. At the end of every fall turn, if you have an army or navy in a region with a supply center, you gain control of it, and then you count up all of your supply centers and subtract the number of pieces you had on the board. Then you can place the difference on the board, choosing either a fleet or army for each piece. You can only place these new pieces on the supply centers within your home country, defined by these lines and colors. So for example, if Germany had 5 supply centers overall, and 3 pieces, you'd do 5 minus 3 and choose from 2 pieces to place on the board, at either Kiel, Munich, or Berlin. Once you own a supply center, you can leave it and stay in control. If an enemy enters the region, you don't lose control unless they are... If an army enters the region, you don't lose control unless they are there during the end of fall. Fleets must be placed at supply centers that closely border the water. In this example, that is Kiel. This is called having a ship in port. You cannot move a fleet from port to another region like this. It has to go from port to the Adriatic and then the Ionian Sea. By the way, a fleet in port can be attacked by both armies and fleets. A country is declared out of the game when all its main supply centers have been overtaken. These are the ones within the country's borders, the same ones that you place your new pieces at. Everything you write down during your turn is set in stone! You cannot change it, and it doesn't matter if you made a mistake. You play it how it reads. We diplomaniacs are very passionate. Okay, to wrap this up, I'll go over specifics of each piece. Armies. These only travel on land with one exception. You can use fleets to carry these across to other land. For example, since the Mid-Atlantic is bordering both Portugal and Gascony, you can jump your army between them. Keep in mind that this is your turn. You cannot use your fleet to do anything else that turn. However, the fleet can still move into port, if that port is where the army is being jumped to. And the fleet can support the same army that it carries over. You can also link these together, meaning you can jump an army all the way from Portugal to Norway if you have a fleet in each of these regions, all in one turn. Fleets. Fleets can move in water only, and can bounce into ports when defeated. This game is great, and I mainly made this long, boring, monotonous, bad video to get more people into it. It's pretty old, but definitely holds up today. If you have any questions about the rules, because trust me, they come up a lot, just ask in the comments. That won't happen, because nobody will ever make it this far. See you on the other side.